Today we will learn about the topic management as a profession. In your subject management process, unit 3. While discussing the fundamental concepts and the management theory jungle, we have come across a question, namely, is management a science or an art? And after discussion, we have come to a conclusion. If you remember, management is both science and art. In a similar manner, while discussing the managerial styles and skills, everything regarding the management profession, or the professionality required on the part of the managers while managing their departments or the organizations or the functional areas in which they are supposed to manage. The question comes here, whether the management can be stated as a profession or not. Whether the managers are called to be professionals or not. Whether the managers do have professionality and involvement of their professionality in discharging their functions and duties and responsibilities. So going towards the discussion, let us now go for a general way of defining what is a profession. A profession can be defined as an occupation backed up or supported by specialized knowledge and training, and where the entry into the profession is somewhat restricted or mostly restricted. If you observe the definition, profession is an occupation. Occupation in the sense, a specialized way of doing the things required specialized people with specialized actions and activities. So it's an occupation where the incumbent or the manager will occupy the position of a manager. Now, it requires a specialized knowledge. So what is a specialized knowledge? If you take any profession like doctor, advocate, teacher, manager, nurse, or any profession, chartered accountant, cost accountant, whatever it may be. Even the driver, driving is also a profession. So, while dealing with that profession, the person who is supposed to deal that profession in a particular effective manner and a more appropriate manner should have the specialized knowledge. Not a general knowledge is required. It is required the specialized knowledge. If you observe today in the medical profession, there are n number of specializations after the PG is completed. PG means after the degree is completed. Degree means MBBS or BAMS or BHMS. So when once the degree is over, in the olden days, the degree itself is enough for them to practice. But later on, as there are huge changes in the environment, in the lifestyle, in the standard of living, as well as the population explosion, there was a great depth of need of the specialized people to deal with the specialized situations and cases in the medical profession. Now gradually the emphasis for specialization has been gone up, and now we rarely see the people with MBBS, and most of that we see with specialization, either MS, MD, or some PG certificates or diplomas with those doctors with a specialization. So with all these, what we learn from this means people need to have the specialized knowledge apart from the specialized training also to deal with specialized situations, and that specialization is itself is making a person much more professional by way of practicing and experiencing and exposure getting from day to day. So that's why the basic definition says that profession is an occupation which is supported by or backed up with specialized knowledge and training and having a restricted entry. That is also one another prominent aspect in the definition of profession. Restricted entry. It is not open to all. It is only makes the people eligible to enter into the profession with their professionality, having some professional skills and specialized knowledge and training in that with a degree. So due to that, there are n number of professions. And who will decide the professionality or the matching up with the profession required things? By way of giving a certificate or a license. In the case of the driver, the driving license. In the case of the chartered accountant, the registration. In the case of the cost accountant, the registration. In the case of an advocate, the bar council registration. Right? Like that, everywhere there is a registering authority, everywhere there is a regulatory authority, everywhere there is a restricted authority, and which makes the people to enter into the profession. That's why, until and unless these people do possess and show the evidences that they do have the professionality with certification, it is not so easy on the part of the professionals to enter into the entry into a particular profession. Now coming to the question, management is a profession. So why management is a profession? Already we have discussed management is both science and art, because it is having a systematic knowledge, it is having a creativity and having timely decision making with a deviation from one person to another person, one situation to another situation, one organization to another organization. So that's why it is both science and art. When once a person possesses the ability to manage the things with the knowledge of both the science and art, or you can say management is an exact science, inexact science. Inexact science means it is not purely science, it is also not purely art. It is a folded one, blend of both science and art. Because managers do most of the decisions as a systematic way, and sometimes they show their and imbibe their creativity while dealing the situations in a systematic manner. That's why management is a profession. So when the management is a profession, what should be the characteristics on the part of the management to evolve into a profession? The first one is, management is a well-defined body of knowledge. Well-defined body of knowledge. If you see, just like MBBS or MS or MD, or just a BL, ML or LLB or LLM, in the case of management also we have the degree level and PG level courses. Apart from that, several certificate courses like Bachelor of Business Administration, MBA, Master of Business Administration. In the similar manner, there are several courses which are being offered by educational institutions, training institutions and corporates to make the persons convert into the profession of management and serving the people as manager. So that's why it is having a well-defined body of knowledge. Means here there are n number of subjects, there are specializations, there are practicals, there are project works, there are internal observations, there are so many other skill learning opportunities and evaluations. On an overall basis, in a 360 degrees, there is an evaluation of a person who wants to enter into the management professionality. And when once it is clearly and closely being monitored and get success to that, then only a person will be given the degree or the diploma. So automatically, the subject of management is a well-defined body of knowledge. Because the aims of the subject have been declared, the aims of the course is declared, and the people's potentiality after possessing the course or the degree or the certificate will show the relevance on the part of the person to emerge into a profession in the future course term by way of practicing it for years together or days together. Henceforth, it is consisting a well-defined body of knowledge. The second one is where there is restricted entry. As I said, everywhere there is a requirement of entry with some restrictions. Nobody can enter as usual. Nobody can enter and practice as a doctor. Nobody can enter and practice as an advocate. And nobody can enter and practice as a teacher. Nobody can enter into practice as a chartered accountant or a tax consultant. Everywhere there is a restricted entry. When once you show it, your eligibility, your authenticity and your certificate or registration, then only you will be allowed to enter into that profession. Otherwise, it is against to the code of conduct of the country or against to the law. It is illegal. So henceforth, entry into the profession is restricted. The third one is presence of professional associations. Like in medicine, we have a regulatory body, we have some professional associations. Like in advocates, in law, practicing of law, there are some professional bodies like Bar Council of India. And in the case of management also, we have some professional body. All India Management Association. Right? Like that, we have some specialized professional associations who will go on making a person recognized and making that person enter into this as a member of that association. Until and unless that fellow may not, until and unless may not possessing a membership and a person wants to enter into that profession, it is not possible. Everywhere. And practically it is said, the All India Management Association is not that much of clearly being restricting, but apart from that, other associations are 100% restricting the entry and making their professional authenticity by allowing a person into the practice as a profession through that association. Without registering into the Bar Council, no person can enter into the profession of law. Without entering into the Indian Medical Association, no person can be entered into the profession of the doctor or medical field of activity. Next one is existence of ethical codes. Like that, when there is a profession, automatically the people will have to function as per the professional code of conduct or the ethics being maintained or prescribed from time to time by the professional associations. What to do, what not to do, what is right, what is wrong. Every time the ethics are being defined and redefined as per the situations. Henceforth, one has to abide by the code of conduct and the ethics being prescribed by the profession, and these are necessary. Otherwise, the profession which is being done by that person or the organization will become an unethical, and it is very much problematic on the part of the person and the organization also. So, ethical code of conduct is being published or being specified for the existence of that particular profession or practice of that particular profession. Next one is service motive. Even though if you see all these professions, it is nothing but servicing with your professionality, with your skill set, with your knowledge, with your practical exposure and experience and educational background, your experience. So when there is a profession and a professional, automatically the service is expected with reference to the professional requirements and the persons who need the advice or the support of that particular profession. Henceforth, the first and foremost motive of any profession is to provide service. But if you observe today, in most of the occasions, now the service motive has become minutely being degraded, and the profit or wealth has been taken as a main concern as far as the professions are concerned. But even then, in future also it is expected that service motive should be the only motive of any professional under any professional situation. Next one is specialized knowledge. As I already explained, why the specialized knowledge is essential? Because all the days are not same, all the situations are not the same, and there is a turbulency, there is a dynamism in the situations or the environment in which a professional is going to function throughout his life. or is the action time of actual time of action. Henceforth, there is a need of specialization on the part of the professionals. Even though after the entry into the profession also there is a need of orientation and reorientation and way of training to obtain what is being occurred in the outside world and what was the gap between the abilities and skills and potentialities of the professional who is in a profession and what is being a challenging one to that person, because of there is a lot of change in the outside environment. So it is required on the part of the professionals to imbibe specialized knowledges and skills from time to time to update themselves and provide much more better service and more practical and expertized orientation while discharging their profession. Next one is formal education and training. As I already explained, for every profession there is a formal education. For an advocate, LLB is to be done, LLM is to be done. For a doctor, MBBS is to be done, after that MD or MS is to be done. Alright? Like that, for a manager also there is a need of doing some BBA, after that MBA and so on and so forth. So like that, a formal education and training is essential. The managers have been given both at the time of entry into the profession, even though they have qualified the required education, they will be asked to go for a training program, that is on the job training and off the job training, what we have discussed earlier. Why there is a need of training and orientation, even the professionals who are in the profession for years together? Because there is a need of regeneration of the person, recalibration of a person, reorientation of a person, because all the days are not same, all the situations are not same, and all the problems are not similar also. There is a need of expertise, there is a need of skill, there is a need of upgradation to deal the same. For example, a marketing manager who dealt a similar situation of branding after say about 25 years back, and the same person is asked to deal the problem of branding today, there is a huge gap of practice, huge gap of creativity. Henceforth, the person needs to have proper training in that area, proper training on formal education and involvement and enhancement of the capabilities and skills from time to time. Next one is social obligation. As a profession, where you are practicing your profession, you are practicing your profession in a society. To whom you are rendering your services? To the people, to the society, to the country, to the company or the organization in which you are serving. Automatically, there are a number of obligations being prescribed on the part of every profession also, basing upon the social responsibility, basing upon the social compulsions. Henceforth, every professional should identify that he is not out of the purview of the society, out of the purview of the social responsibility. Henceforth, every profession do have their norms, have their social obligations, and social code of conduct is required. So henceforth, every professional should identify what are the social obligations in which framework he or she has to work and perform as a professional. Henceforth, the social obligations. For example, in the case of a manager, generally what we call, we have the ultimate objective of business is profit maximization, and after some time wealth maximization. Apart from that, as a manager, the manager has to keep in mind, even though the organizational objectives of the business organization is profit maximization and wealth maximization, but as a human being, he should have to function under the social obligations also. Too much extraction, too much exploitation is not that much of what wanted on the part of a manager to go into consideration. Henceforth, the human consent, the social consent is one of the obligation on the part of not only a manager, every professional in whichever, whatever profession he or she might be. Like a doctor. Okay, a doctor who is functioning, where is functioning? He is functioning in a society, maybe a government doctor or a private doctor. With whom he is dealing with people in the society, human beings in the society. So the human approach is essential. Not only the money acquisition or money earning is the main, but the first and foremost objective is to provide service, to support the humanity and human kindness are one of the obligations on the part of the doctors also. So social obligations do exist in every profession that should be 100% being maintained by the professions. Next, code of conduct. In order to make the person function in a streamlined manner, in a appropriate manner, in a more perfect manner, and to match with the ethical code of conduct, automatically the ethics and norms, even though they are being prescribed, sometimes they may be violated. Henceforth, there is a need of some legal obligation, legal supervision with the help of the code of conduct. If the professional do not follow the code of conduct, automatically the organization is in a position, or the government is in a position, or the association is also having power to debar that person by cancelling the registration and expelling that person from doing that profession. You will be seeing so many people who might have been doing the things in an anti-legal. Henceforth, they have been expelled out of the profession, and their degree or their registration or their entry has been restricted. Last one is representative association. In every profession, as professionals are also the employees, henceforth, like employees, there are trade unions. Like the professionals, to the professionals also, there are so many professional representative associations or organizations or bodies which were constitutionally framed or regulated or controlled. Like in the case of chartered accountants, ICAI. Like the case of doctors, Indian Medical Association. Like the case of managers, All India Management Association. Like that, everywhere, in every profession. In the case of the advocates, Bar Council of India, right? Local bar councils, state bar councils. Like that, everywhere we have the professional associations, and these professional associations not only make the people function as per the code of conduct and norms and so many other obligations and being put for effective conduct. Apart from that, they also safeguard the professional in the case of any unwarranted situation, also by way of supporting and providing the required legal strength and support to that profession. In the case of genuine cases, the representative associations are also there to safeguard the professional, right? This is all what we will have to undergo under this concept, management as a profession. By all these, we will come to a conclusion that the profession of management or the manager is also a professional, and management is also a profession, right? We will learn so many other things in the next class. Thank you very much.